Hi guys, it's Kelly Latevola here, and I'm back with another video for Honeybee Stamps. So this is part of the new Be Mine release. This is the Sweet Treats. I'm using the stamps and the dies, and then the Bad Influence also stamps and dies. So I apologize, this video is getting up a little bit late. So I put the card and the post up on Tuesday on my blog, because that's when the blog hop was. But I was having audio issues still. And so I'm getting it up a little bit late. It is past the point of participation in the blog hop. Though the release is still up and still awesome, so I would encourage you to check that out. But yeah, just my bad. If you don't follow my blog, that's why I would encourage you to do so you don't miss out on the chance for the giveaways, because when I participate in blog hops, I don't always get the video up the same day. So there's that. Minus one of the reasons besides the audio issues is also the allergies. We'll talk about that in a minute. So I had this idea for the card that I wanted, basically this box of candy, like the candy spilling out of this box. And so that's what I'm doing here with the pencil. I'm drawing the box in the background. Yes, it is a large box, big, huge, large box of candy, because the sentiment that is included in the, there's a bunch of really, really good ones, but the sentiment that I wanted to use is, "It's your birthday, pig out," because I thought it was super cute. Now, the name of the set is Bad Influence, and the reason that it is because of the sentiments in it. It says, "We've been friends for so long, I can't remember which one is the," and then you fill in bad influence. Then there have these like little ones that are so cute. It says, "I'm pretty sure it's me," or "I'm pretty sure it's you." I'm totally going to be using those because I love them. Also, "I miss you, pig time," "let's pig out." Like, there's all just super kinds of cute ones in here. Don't mind my allergies. So, it has been the weirdest weather this winter in Ohio. Well, probably everywhere, honestly, but I can only speak for here because here is where I live. So it's been, in December, we had like 60-degree days. Right now it's been like 45. But since discovering, remember back when I was poked a million times, I was the stabbing test, they discovered that I was allergic to grass. Well, because we keep going back and forth, the grass is not dying. Basically, I need the grass to be dead so that these allergies will stop happening. I have been consistently taking my allergy medication that was prescribed to me, but some of them you have to take for months to build up enough in your system for them to work efficiently. So I still don't know whether or not this one will work for me. I do know the allergies are still annoying on at least once a month basis because of the weather patterns. So that's that. After I drew the box, I set that aside. I'm stamping out all of my little pieces parts. And then the heart is actually like a cake pop kind of thing, or a sucker. And I'm going to color it like a balloon because I wanted this to be a birthday card. So yeah, just like kind of, refurbishing the things that you have. They do have other cake pops in there, other candies. I didn't even kind of get to use all of them. Jelly beans, they're adorable. So for the coloring of the box, I wanted it to be like white-ish, but it's in the background. So I didn't want there to be a whole lot of attention on it. So I am going to shade the left and the right hand sides of where the box meets, and then the inside is going to be like almost completely black and dark grays to give it that dimension that the box is upright and you can't see inside the box. Yeah, I love this. Why can't I say sentences? Do you know? Probably because there's so many thoughts going on in my brain at the same time. I loved this release, and I had a really hard time choosing what I wanted to use because I had all of these ideas. But I kept coming back to this little pig, and I really think it's such a cute set, and it has to do with the sentiments. Now, it's so funny because, different things, I guess, drive me towards different types of stamps. And I know, like, because I do so many scene cards, one layer cards, all that stuff, it can seem like the sentiment is an afterthought, but a lot of times the sentiment is what drives my idea. Like in this case, it's your birthday, pig out. Even though the sentiment will be such a small part of the design, it's really the whole basis, like the actual words will be such a small part of the design. The whole design is based around what the sentiment says. So I would be curious to know what drives you, what attracts you to different stamp sets. I, of course, love cute images. I, of course, love flowers, all the flowers, every flower ever. I was once talking to a friend of mine who is a illustrator, and I was like, more flowers, please. And she was like, isn't everybody just sick of flowers? And I was like, no, nobody's sick of flowers. No, they're like the most versatile image, and you can color them all different colors and all different ways and use them all different kinds. And nobody's sick of flowers except for you, because you have to draw them. But everybody else still love them. Well, at least I do anyway. So when you're coloring large areas, it may not be as noticeable doing the grays, but especially later on when I do the blue, like countertop, you'll notice that a lot of times you have to like really work that edge to make sure the colors are blending in large areas. Also make sure that your markers are filled, because you'll need more ink to cover larger areas. If they aren't properly filled, you will get streaking and splotching, and your blend won't be smooth. So when I was doing this card, it was nighttime, which is pretty typical for me. But I had a system where I was making the cards at night, finishing them, and then was able to photograph them in the morning in natural sunlight. Lately, that has not been happening. So I've been having to become a little bit creative with my nighttime photos. So for a really, really long time, I used a folio, which is a light box. And so I would put my setup in there. I would take my photos in my light box, and then I would edit them, basically to adjust anything that wasn't that was an issue. Like sometimes with the folio, I would have to do add more shadows because it would wash out my color. But for the most part, it was a pretty good system. Since I have had it for so long, the background is a little bit stained. There's like dust and lint and dog hair on my white background. There's ink or Copic markers where like maybe with the lid off, something got where it shouldn't be. And so I have not really used it. Then, being at the rental, I had, like I said, the setup where I could take the photos in natural light. Here, I also have that same setup, but because the craft room is on the back of the house, I get natural sunlight for a very limited amount of time. So the other night, I was trying to use my regular setup that I would use for natural sunlight, which is like a photo board, my little plate, some flowers or berry type things, twine, whatever I got going on. And so I was trying to take some photos without using the light box. I ended up having to open the window. I moved the lighting, which is really just garage lighting, quite honestly, from my camera, which, by the way, those of you who suggested the white balance, that was in fact what the problem was. Somehow the settings got switched to auto, which is why it was going yellow when my hands weren't in it. I have since fixed the white balance and did not have those issues in this video. But anyway, so I had to move my garage lights, which are just like on the, like you squeeze them for the handles. I had to open this window, and that particular night was like 20 degrees outside. So I opened the window. I have these two garage lights hanging from the window. I end up getting my, what are those called? I can't remember. I keep wanting to say Otto, but that's not right. That was my grandfather's name. Ott light. That's what it is. I ended up having to get the Ott light out of the closet. I never use it. But so anyway, I ended up setting that up, and I had it like just on the very edge of my whole setup, trying to take my pictures. I take a couple of pictures and knock over the light, which knocks over everything else into my floor. So I picked that up. I finished taking my pictures. Then I was like, when I was taking pictures for this card, I was like, I don't want to do that again. But I'm taking these night photos. So I ended up moving my entire photo layout, don't mind the dogs, to my camera area where the lights were already set up. And then I took photos there. Those also were not the best photos. So then I was like, I'll just take photos in natural, like I'll put up what I've got, because sometimes you just got to work with what you got. But I will take photos in natural light tomorrow when I get home from work. I will edit them, and then I will just pull out the ones I don't like and put in the ones in natural light. Well, unfortunately, it was overcast that day, and because the house is on the back, all of those photos have like a blue cast to them. And when I tried to correct the color correct them, they still did not look right. So I actually ended up keeping with the makeshift garage light photos. But I had posted a picture on Instagram to show like all the things that card makers go through to try to get good photos. And a couple of people had said that's really interesting. I always wondered, photo setup and stuff. So I thought that would be an interesting point to kind of touch on. Like I said, the Folio work, natural sunlight's always best if you can do it. But because I make cards in the middle of the night, I usually cannot. So I would recommend a light box or something of that nature. The Folio doesn't give you a whole lot of room. So if you're a person who wants to do like all this photo setup, that one might not be the one for you. But if you're just looking to put like one or two things in there, like maybe an ink pad, an ink blender, a couple of Copic markers, like that would totally work. It's definitely large enough to accommodate that, and it is very well lit. Otherwise, I really don't like talking to other card makers and stuff. Is pretty much how I learned what I wanted to do. Back to the card. So all the chocolate is colored at this point. It is very, very difficult to color around the little toppings. So I just ended up going back in with a colorless blender to remove that color so that I could color the sprinkles a different color. I also used that to clean up any of my edges since I am going to be die cutting these. Sprinkles were the same matchy color. As far as color scheme with this particular card, I went with the like gallon, pint, quart rule. So my gallon is my teal, my pint is my browns for my chocolate, and then my quart is the pink for my little piglet. So that's just how I was envisioning it. It didn't seem to make sense to bring in a lot of other colors and kind of muddy it up when I already had so many neutrals with the box and then the chocolates. So then the other thing, so what I was going to tell you? Oh, the audio. So what I ended up having to do for the audio was uninstall the last update from Windows. Now, this is basically a little war that I go on every single time. I told you guys that previously, where it automatically installs the update. It totally ruins my audio. And then sometimes I can go in and adjust it so that it works again. And sometimes I can't. And when I can't, I have to go in and uninstall the update. But because the updates are automatic, if you don't disable the updates, then it will automatically, like, you uninstall it and then it will reinstall it. So at first I forgot to go in and pause the updates. So when I uninstalled it, it immediately reinstalled it. And then I was so stabby. I was so aggravated. Because I'm just like, I don't understand how Microsoft, with its employees and billions of dollars and all of these things that it has access to, that 3 years later it has not figured out that they need to change the update to that audio driver so that everybody's audio doesn't sound like they're in a garbage bag. It's so terrible. And I get that not everybody is using, maybe there aren't many complaints because not everybody's using a microphone like I am on a daily basis. But it's just completely baffling to me how they cannot dope out how to fix this issue. So, nonetheless, I went in and paused the updates, and then I uninstalled the last update, and lo and behold, microphone works substantially better. There isn't all of that like crinkly static background noise that I was hearing before, and then consequently having to adjust my gain and my volume so that you guys didn't hear it, which was making my videos more quiet. So hopefully they have at least another little while before they do another update and I have to suffer this problem again. So for the box here, I wanted to add a little something to the side of the box. It looked very, very plain. And in the Sweet Treats collection, there's a couple of different like decorative pieces. So there's one that looks like a branch or a laurel. There's a heart. There is a kind of like a swoopy swirl that is like it almost looks like an ampersand. So there's a lot of little things in here. I ended up just going with a simple heart. I knew I wasn't going to be able to read the entirety of it behind everything I had going on, but I just wanted something that was going to be a little bit more decorative than just a plain side of a box, because I don't have any pattern in this card. There isn't a whole lot going on in the ways and means of interest with this card, which is another reason why like normally I'm a one layer card person. It's another reason why I decided to do the die cuts, because it does add interest. You have things at varying levels, as far as the height, the white outline, all of those things add more going on in the card. And so that's why I decided to use the die cuts, whereas you totally could have done this as a one layer card. So once I had the bottom in, I'm just going to color in that heart, the darkest pink that I chose for the pig. And then I kind of just laid everything out how I wanted it. Here, the chocolate in the front, the pig, and the hearts are all going to be popped up on foam. So the easiest way to do that is to just adhere them together, like right out the gate. That's what I'm doing here. So I'm just going to make them all one piece before I adhere the foam to it. So that way it's just much easier to do. Then I'm going to, there's several of them. If I didn't have on dark nail polish, I did have on dark nail polish. So I'm nervous to like scoop up the die cut, because I don't want to get like this streak of, well, it's not even really red, honestly. It was more like a berry color of this nail polish on my card base. So I did struggle a little bit with getting that down. So there's a couple of them that I glued down flat. Everything else I took off, and I'm going to put foam tape on so that it kind of pops up off the page, including the sentiment, which you saw I heat embossed and then die cut out again with the coordinating dies. So just going to put these down exactly the way you saw me build it the first time. I didn't get this little guy in the exact spot that I wanted him, and so I looked to see if I could pick him up. I would have tore it. It wasn't worth it. So originally, when I had laid out the candies, I had one little ball like over to the left, and because the way that the candy was covered up, I decided to move it closer to my little pig, so that area would be fuller. I have no issue with having to do that. I think it looks fine. I'm going to add my sentiments up toward the top, just because that seemed to make the most sense of where to put them. So it's your birthday, pig out, which is really good advice, honestly, like cake, candy, ice cream, whatever your favorite treat is. Here I have these are the Sweet on You gem stickers. Love these things, super easy to use. They're self-adhesive, so I just pull them off and stick them on. I opted to go with the white ones for what I had going on, but there's a ton of different colors in here. A lot of really good neutrals. The last thing that I'm going to do is add glitter to my balloons, and then some of the candies, which is totally a thing. Edible glitter is totally a thing. And then that's it. That's the whole card. So thank you guys so much for joining me. I'll be back super soon, and I will catch you on the next video. Bye.